When I was younger, my dad was obsessed with this show on the Discovery Channel called It Takes a Thief. It was hosted by two guys who used to be actual robbers, house with their permission, to show them how shitty their security systems were. To prove that anyone could sneak through their windows, steal their jewelry, swipe their cash, and their neighbors wouldn't even notice. It was a pretty good show. So when I saw that Netflix had an original series called How to Get Away with Any Crime, I had to watch it. It had a similar concept to It Takes a Thief, except they did more than just rob houses. There were 13 episodes. Each of them revolved around a different crime: robbing, stalking, mugging, murder, and rape. The first episode was a kidnapping episode, where a man walked up to two parents at a park and asked for their permission to kidnap their child. It was meant to work as a PSA about how easy it was to convince a kid to grab a stranger's hand. And that's exactly what the host did. He walked up to a boy who looked about 5 or 6 and told him that he had Guardians of the Galaxy on Blu-ray, and he wanted to give it to him for free. And the kid grabbed his hand and followed him inside his white van, just like that. After he disappeared behind the sliding doors, the camera switched to the mother, near tears, shocked that her stranger danger talk didn't work, and that her kid willingly left with a man he didn't know. The interview between the camerawoman and the mother lasted for a full 10 minutes. For 10 minutes, that child was off camera in a van with a grown man. And the mother didn't even question it, because she was on a television show being filmed, being distracted. At first, I thought it was looking too far into things. The kid was probably with another cameraman and a producer and a makeup artist. He was probably fine. But then I watched the next episode, one that talked about the dangers of date rape, of how easy it is to slip a roofie into somebody's drink without anybody in the room noticing. A 20-something blonde willingly signed up for the show, so she knew that one day she was going to be filmed, but she didn't know when it was going to happen. So, when a good-looking guy with brown hair and glasses hit on her at the club, she flirted back. She let him buy her a drink. She didn't notice when a flash of white dropped from his fingertips into the glass. And her friends, all 4 of them, didn't stop her from going home with the stranger, even though she was drooped over his arm, barely able to stand. They just assumed she was drunk, that she wanted to hook up with him, that it was consensual. It was an eye-opening thing to see. I would have condemned the show for how we should be paying more attention and protecting our friends, except they didn't interview the blonde or her friends until the next morning. Why would they wait that long? Why wouldn't they interview her right away? What did they do with her that night? Judging by the way she was falling all over the host, she must have swallowed an actual roofie. It wasn't some placebo pill. What did they do to her? As the episodes went on, the abuse became more obvious. In the mugging episode, a teenager was backed into an alley, threatened with a knife, shoved to the ground, and kicked in the gut. In the stalking episode, a woman was getting changed out of her work clothes when she spotted the host outside of her second-story window, snapping pictures of her nude. In the murder episode, a man in his 40s was held at gunpoint and shot in a non-lethal place in the flesh of his shoulder. But he was still fucking shot. And none of the participants on the show could do anything about it because they signed a confidentiality agreement or a waiver or some other legal document. They must have. They must have agreed that the show could do whatever they wanted, even cause them bodily harm, and they couldn't sue. But the viewers tried to get justice for them. They bombarded Netflix with so many complaints that they eventually took down the show. Then they flooded the internet with criticism about the host, demanding him to be fired, to be blacklisted. I guess those people didn't make it to the last episode. In number 13, the host announced that he was going to talk about the most important issue last. That he saved it for himself because he didn't want anyone else to suffer through it. He brought back everybody from the previous episodes. The little boy from the van, the woman who was roofied, the man who was shot, and invited them to enter the room with him one by one. They weren't permitted to touch him, to beat him, to shoot him, but they were allowed to say anything they wanted. And they said some pretty fucked up things. The same type of things you'd find on Twitter. Things you'd see scribbled inside of a high school bathroom. Things you'd assume no human would be cruel enough to say, but are said every day. And as soon as the last person left the room, he pulled a razor from his jean pocket and slit his wrists all the way up to the elbows. It took over 10 minutes for him to bleed out, and they filmed the whole damn thing. Of course I skipped it, vomited in the middle of my living room rug, and spent the rest of the night in the bathroom. That man had a sick mind. Maybe he was trying to help people. Create a show similar to What Would You Do? So people would realize they shouldn't stand on the sidelines and let other people suffer. Maybe he wanted to show the world how easily it is for your kid to wander off with a pedophile, how easy it is for your best friend to leave the club with a rapist, how easy it is to hurt someone with your words. How all of us need to do more to protect the people we love. But he did it in the wrong fucking way. His logic was fucked up. His show was fucked up. Everything he did was fucked up. And he should never be allowed out in public, let alone on television screens across the world. It's disgusting what people will watch. But I've heard they're already in the process of filming a second season with a new host. That even though Netflix has removed the series, other networks are interested. They know that this is going to be the next big thing. Ghouls, I hope you enjoyed this story. I thought it was really creepy, especially since I love Netflix, and I'm pretty sure most people do. Like, I will binge watch a show until it's done. I don't care if it's 5 seasons, 20 fucking episodes each season, and each episode is an hour long. I will fucking binge it. So when I saw this story like pop up and it was about Netflix, I fucking had to do it. But I really like the premise of it, especially since there's so many like Netflix originals, and a lot of them, not a lot of them, but there are like really edgy ones out there, like really gory kind of Netflix shows, which I love. But this doesn't seem too impossible. Like, I think that it might be able to happen, although I think Netflix is a little bit more on top of it than that. But I mean, you never know. It Takes a Thief was a show. I remember watching it. And they did, in fact, like break into people's houses so they could, teach them how to, do their security systems the right way and all that kind of stuff. So it's not that far-fetched. But it's creepy. Would you watch it? If you came across this Netflix show that was in the story, would you watch it? Because I personally would. I know I would watch it just to say I watched it. You know what I mean? So let me know in the comments if you would watch it or not. Also, I apologize if I still sound terrible in this video because I am still ill. I feel like I'm going to be ill for the rest of my life. And it sucks. So I apologize if you have to deal with like dry mouth, like partially nasally me. I very much apologize. And hopefully by Friday, I will not sound like this. But as always, ghouls, the last video will be on the top left. The next video will be on the bottom left. All my social medias are on the screen as well as in the description box below. And remember, there's always someone or something watching you.